Okay, hello. Welcome to our office hours. How about we start with a short introduction round, just to make sure everyone here knows each other. So maybe I'll go first, ladies first. And so I'm Danielle, I'm a community manager for Flatcar. So that's me. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, I can go next. Hi, Mathieu from France. I work with in the Flatcar team, and I mainly work on ignition and test topic, and recently SE Linux. Okay, Sayan, maybe.
Yeah, hello, hi. I'm Sayan. I also work with the Flatcar Container Linux team, and I primarily look into the releases part and handing over to Kai.
I'm Kai, also working in the Flatcar team, currently involved with build pipeline things. Okay, who's next? Don't you have a win already or not?
Hi. Donk is underwater now.
Yeah, Doctor, your audio is really bad. Okay, so yeah, maybe we'll skip him until we figure it out.
And maybe I'll go next. So my name is Kashimir. I'm working also on the Flatcar team together with Kai and Mattia and other folks. Currently helping Kai with the new pipeline for the building the images, and in the meantime working on the toolchain updates and other package updates in Flatcar.
All right, I guess I'll go next. So hey, my name is Juan Antonio Osorio, or Oz for short, and I do all things security in Equinix Metal. We extensively use Flatcar, and that's how I started incessantly poking folks about SE Linux. And that's me. Yeah, I'm that guy.
Cool. So maybe I'll share my screen quickly so we would see the agenda. Once I'll find the right screen to share. Not oversharing here. I think I got the right one. Hope so. Okay. Can you see the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe we do it like we start with updates. So yeah, let's just go in the order it's listed. So I guess Mathieu, you're next.
Okay, so yeah, quickly talk about that. I'm a member of an association here in France, DevOps One, and we try to organize one meetup a month or twice every 2 months, depends. And the next one is about to be tonight in the Microsoft Lyon office. And I will talk about ignition and butane mainly, and of course with some Flatcar examples. And yeah, we also have a talk about serverless stuff. So it's about to be quite interesting and a lot of DevOps topic. And after that, we got a networking session to just exchange about DevOps and stuff like that around the beers. So yeah, it's going to be nice. I can actually briefly show the venue where we are going to host the event. So this is here in the Microsoft Lab. So this is a place here in France to host this kind of events and to not organize everything inside the capital, so in Paris. So we are able to host this kind of event outside the big cities. And yeah, this is pretty cool. And we expect maybe, I don't know, 10 or 20 people tonight in the office, and certainly 10 or 20 remotely, because we can host the event physically and remotely. So yeah, that's it.
This is going to be an English presentation or
so it depends actually. I think and I expect to have only French people tonight. But of course, if we have English speakers in the room, we talk in English, but it depends.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, are you going to do a recording of the meeting? So it's gonna be in French or in English?
So I will see with the other speaker if it's an issue with him to talk in English, but I think it can be done in English. It's not a problem at all. So yeah.
Okay.
Cool. And you showed before we started streaming, you have like amazing view from the office there of the city.
Yeah, I can show again, but yeah, this is pretty cool actually. Yeah. So you can see all the city of Lyon, and there is a big sun today. So yeah, this is nice.
Looks like the highest building in the city.
Sorry?
It looks like you are in the highest building in the city.
So no, it's not the highest, but it's the youngest. It has been built last year.
Cool.
Cool. And you'll be giving a talk as well, right?
Yeah, about ignition and butane.
Okay, any teasers?
No, you
Oh,
have to be here.
Well, it would take some time to catch a flight from Berlin. Anyway, now speaking of conferences, we had KCD in Berlin last week. It was pretty cool. Also popped there and joined a talk. So we should have the recordings, I guess, soon. So a couple of people who were the organizers took time off, maybe related to the conference, maybe not. But yeah, they are off now. And once we have the recording, I'll add them also to the agenda here. And what else? Oh, yeah. So we had a bug smashing day last Friday. Matthew, maybe you want to talk about it? I didn't attend it, so I'll leave it to people who were actually there.
Yes, sure. So with the Flatcar team, we tried to sort and organize all the issues related to Flatcar, and we tried to close the oldest one and the one that are not accurate anymore. So we closed around 20 issues, and we updated 40 or 45. And yeah, that was a cool event. So I don't know if Kai or Sayan, you have something to add regarding the event.
I have something if no one else takes the stage. So like one of the things that you do also is kind of labeling them and say, hey, this is a first good issue. So like if someone wants to get their hand dirty and, you know, smash some bugs too, there's a nice segue there. So like as far as I know, all the issues now have the appropriate labels, so everyone could join the party, right?
Yeah, also the documentation issue can be a good one to dive into Flatcar and development.
Yeah, we do have a lot of those easy fixtures and documentation issues that can be looked into.
Is there a filter that would allow me to look for, you know, low-hanging documentation issues in GitHub?
Yeah, we do have. I'll just try to find the link and send it over chat.
Great.
Cool. Anyone wants to add anything else before we go to the next item? All right, so I guess next one is Juan. You have the spotlight this week or this month.
I see. No pressure.
No pressure.
No. Oh, hey, everybody. So yeah, so people might know me for my incessant poking regarding SLinux. As you all know, we actively use Flatcar, and I am like one of the 6 people that care about SLinux, including Matthew. But yeah, so basically, just let me give a quick introduction of what that is and why it's important, right? So if you read about SLinux and you search around like, hey, what the hell is this thing? You're just gonna see like, hey, it's mandatory access control for Linux, and that doesn't really say much, right? But basically, I think it's a very underrated tool for you to secure a Kubernetes environment. And it has been so and taken into use for containers before that, for virtualization before that. And it's just very, very effective at keeping a container actually constrained, right? So what it actually does is that it is an LSM, right? And as an LSM is hooks into the kernel that will prevent certain operations from touching many attributes from the Linux kernel, right? Being files, being inodes, socket buffers are protected as well, all sorts of things, right? So with an appropriate LSM, you're able to limit what actions can be taken into the kernel. So with digging down into SLNX now, in a container, you're able to not allow containers from messing with each other, right? So SLNX has a thing called contexts. And so even if everything from a container would be labeled as container_T, so container type is the label, it will have a unique context in a node. And so only that specific process is going to be able to touch the network resources, the files, the memory resources that it's allowed to touch, right? So this is why I think is very important, because it allows you to do some sort of multi-tenancy in a Kubernetes cluster, which is pretty hard to do if you don't take such actions. And now the current state of Flatcar is that we have a policy that's taken from the virtualization space, and that was initially what SLinux was doing for Docker and for very early versions of Kubernetes, right? And it effectively allows you to do that, right? So today, if we set up SLinux as enforcing containerd or whatever CRI that you're using is going to actually label the container and allow some protections, which is fine. The problem is that, you know, as time has gone by, just protecting your container and isolating it is not enough, right? We need extra labels. We need extra things to tell the container to do things. One modern label that people use a lot is SPC_T. That's a super privileged container type, right? And that's going to be your fluentd stack, right? That actually reads logs from the server itself. That's going to be basically anything that needs very privileged access into the node, right? So this is why I started poking about, hey, let's get an update for the SLNX policy to get the new container .te file that, what was the name of that folk? Concord from the Gentoo community. But yeah, that the contribution from Concord, right? It's just going to allow us to start expanding into more workloads and actually take the best use of SLNX possible, right? The second thing that I want to start taking in is being able to effectively update SLNX modules, install custom ones, and trim down the permissions. So for example, instead of giving back to fluentd all the permissions in the world, you're just going to allow fluentd to read logs, right? And nothing else. So even if there's a container escape, it's not able to touch anything else in the cluster. And so it allows you to partition your node in a very effective manner. And I love it. So, but as Matthew has noticed, and many of you might have noticed as well, it's extremely intrusive, right? So you need to label every single attribute of your system. You need to make sure that your node starts with it being labeled, right? So there has been changes that Matthew has been doing for building the Flatcar image with appropriate labels, right? SLNX also requires you to give information of transitions, right? So when you're running systemd, and that's going to be running another systemd service, that needs to have a specific label, and you need to give it permissions to do things. So basically, you need to model with a policy language what are all of the interactions that your system is going to have in order to get SLNX to work in an effective manner, right? And that has been the challenge, because in the past, we've had a lot of stuff that is unlabeled, and we cannot really do a policy for that, right? So let's say that if we would have had the logs unlabeled, then I cannot really give permission to Fluentd to access unlabeled files, right? So that has been a big challenge. So that's a lot of the work that mostly Matthew and me poking him absolutely every day, and I'm sorry about that. But that's the work that he's been doing, and I've been trying to support with comments and I guess emotional support maybe. But yeah, that has been happening, right? Making sure that we label absolutely everything in Flatcar, making sure that we update the policies to make use of the latest and greatest stuff that the Git2 community and the Linux community has been doing. Making sure that the tools that run very early in the process of Flatcar work, like Torx, for example, we've had to do some changes there in how we run that. And that's the gist of it, right? Where we want to get is we want to get into a point where you can just pass the kernel parameter SLinux equals 1, enforce by default, and it should just work smoothly as it does in other distributions as well. Toning down a little bit my rambling, does any of the stuff that I just said made sense?
Yeah, I have just one question. Is the SLinux work also going to cover the base system? Because right now I think it's mostly targeted about to have like
MCS?
a proper policy for the container works. But do you want to cover also the base system?
Well, I think we need to cover the base system updates as well. I mean, that was one of the things that Matthew was doing. And the main thing is that there has been a lot of changes in, for example, the systemd policy that allow us to run a bit more things. Let's say when you're starting systemd in the init ramfs, it will need to relabel some files. There's a lot of files that we set in systemd tempd. Those need to be relabeled. And that is not possible with the current policy. That is actually not even possible with a newer policy. There has been changes that need to be done to ref policy itself, ref policy being the upstream SLinux modules, right? Okay. So yes, there's going to be changes to base. There's going to be contributions to SLinux itself as a policy, well, the reference policy. And I mean, it covers everything. It is very intrusive.
All right. Yeah, because I remember like when working on the packaging, we only were installing some base policies. Recently have pulled some extra policy for SSSD, I think. So I guess that we need to pull more and more from Gentoo to cover everything.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean,
I went for the low-hanging fruit with SSSD, but apparently that was really not appropriate. I should have just pulled in more things.
Okay. Thanks.
But again, I mean, the mastermind is Matthew. I'm just the voice, the talking head.
But Jeff, thanks a lot.
He's the pulling the strings.
Yeah.
Master of puppets. Thanks, Juan, for this great explanation. I think we are able to see the issue in the global way. And yeah, something quite complicated with SLinux is that if you try to change something, you need to build the whole image, and it takes a bunch of times. And also, just to conclude on this topic, we work a lot with the Gentoo community and the SLinux community on the IRC channel. So this is really a teamwork. It's not only Flatcar, it's also the other communities. So yeah, this is really cool to have this traction between each other on this topic. And if you want to help on this topic, we have the SLinux label on GitHub Flatcar repository. And yeah, you can just try to find how you can help. So it can be just running container workloads with SLinux in enforced mode just to try out and to see what's broken. And you can also try to see if the patches we are still using are still accurate, because some of them are quite legacy, and we need to identify if it's still worth to maintain these patches downstream, sorry. And yeah, that's it. And thanks a lot, Ran, for your help and all your inputs on this topic. So handing to Daniel, if you want to continue, or if someone else has a question on this topic.
I think Kai mentioned something. You want to also mention it verbally here?
I know it was just a small tip. If you build a Flatcar image, you can also disable the inverity. That means you don't have this read-only mount from the user partition, but a writable mount. And then you can maybe try out some other labels quickly if you don't have to build another image for that. Yeah, but I guess for the whole picture, we have to rebuild most things.
Yeah, I tried that in the past, but I'm not sure if we can do that in the CI because it's an option you need to pass in the build image steps. So not sure if we can pass this option.
Yeah, just for local development.
Yeah, okay.
And experimentation.
Thanks.
Yeah, one tricky thing has been that we don't want to force people to have an SE/Linux enabled machine in order to build Flatcar, because that was another idea to, from an SE/Linux enabled machine, relabel absolutely everything, but that was a little challenging. It's been a ride.
Okay, any other thoughts, comments, questions on the SE/Linux topic? So I guess the next item on the agenda is the release planning. So we just go over the release board. Sayan, back to you, Sayan.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll share my screen first. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, this is the tab. Okay, so, oh no.
Oops.
Yeah, we are back. So, Kai, do you want to just give a brief update on the CI automation work?
Yeah, so a lot of the items in plan to do are build system items that are not really exciting features landing in the final Flatcar image, but just the mean to get to an image. So it's more work behind the scenes that's not really exciting for users, but it has to happen. So that's why we delayed the next release a bit, and still we can't really finish everything to make the next release with a new pipeline. So it will maybe be the release in August that happens to be the first release with a new pipeline using this container Docker SDK approach instead of Cork from the Mantle tools that we use currently still. And yeah, we have some other stuff reworked. So there's this bin cache server where things are stored now instead of a Google bucket. And yeah, so it's a rework. It's slowly progressing. And at the same time, we also have this topic with Gabriel to set up GitHub CI, where you have a build of your changes directly for the pull request. And then you can download the build image and also see the Cola test report. That's what we are currently working on.
Cool. Thank you, Kai. So as mentioned, so we are so the next release we are planning on 18th of July, and yeah, so with the next release we have a couple of updates. So essentially the PRs are these PRs are already created, but they are in the review state and should be merged. We are blocked on Vim. We were blocked on Vim. We are not anymore. So we found the issue, and we have a workaround for it. Yeah. And
one quick question: is glibc still blocked? What's the reason for blocking glibc update? Because I haven't seen no progress in that.
Dongsu, would you like to take it over?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah. It's working now.
glibc is blocked, still blocked because of the issue in update engine of ARM64, and
it's one of the CI tests is failing when it tries to update payload, insert update payload and reboot the machine and waiting for the next status, and it just hangs there without any reason. So I have not figured out yet. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thanks. So I have seen some tries at fixing the update engine. It's like looking for a proper linker or something like that, but that wasn't enough. I guess.
Okay, so and on the systemd side, we have still some work to do. So I'll push that to the next one. The curl and the curl is done. I still need to test it, but OpenSSL still need to be worked on, and the Go is also still pending. But we hope to close it by this week. Yeah, and we will start the builds and get the release out. To talk about the next one, as Kai mentioned, like we were planning, we delayed this release for the getting the new pipeline in, but there's still some work that needs to be done. So for the next one, I'm planning which dates it should be. So if we go by the cadence, then it would be around 15th of August, but we have our conference, so we would have folks preparing for the talks or traveling as well. So do you think we should move it earlier or move it like a week later? But another thing is I'll be gone on the week later, so we have a conference in India, so I might be attending that. So yeah, any thoughts on that? Like we could go the either route. It would be it's like alpha would be major, and other than that other channels beta would be minor release. So the load would be less, so we could go earlier as well, but to get the new channel new pipeline, and we could have more time if we push it to like 29th of August. Any thoughts?
I think everyone lost their tongue.
I just check chat if okay. So if not, then let's do it 29th of August, and maybe other we can like folks can take over like starting of the release and then handling the steps. Yeah. Cool.
A very maybe stupid question, so bear with me.
Yeah, sure.
Would release 3185 be including in the release that's going to come out in the 18th of July? We're really waiting for audit D to be included, and that was in 3185. So I'm guessing the answer would be yes, and stable would go to 3227, but I just want to verify.
Yeah, we would be having a new stable, a major stable in the next release. That is this current week, the builds that we're starting.
Right.
So
So just to make the question a bit more clear, will audit D be included in that stable?
Yeah, so the major version is higher than the one you mentioned. It has all the features and was branched later. Yeah.
Okay, just making really clear. That's amazing. So then I can plan for starting taking it into use.
So this updated audit daemon is already a part of some alpha or beta release, right?
Yeah, it's part of beta, but we're mostly taking in the stable channel.
So. Okay. Yeah, because I just remember that audit is actually a part of the core overlay, so it's probably a bit more tricky to update the packages in this table because we are making some modifications.
Okay, so yeah, that's mostly from my side. If you have any questions, do let me know, or else I'll hand it over to Daniel.
Okay, so I guess I'll continue with this note and open the stage now. So if anyone got questions or topic that they want to bring up, or I don't know, share your favorite recipe or whatever. Okay, so I'll take this note as maybe a closing note, and hopefully I'll see you next month. It was lovely to see a lot of faces here.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Ciao.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh.